The library. They were surprised to find a library in the castle. They had almost not come in. The entry fee of 40 ron, about £8, for the two of them would usually have put them off. But it had begun to rain heavily, and the car was quite a walk away, so they made an exception, even though it was near to closing time. There did not seem to be the usual supervisor in each room, and when Smaranda saw a lot of books on shelves in a distant, darkened room, she hurried towards them. Libraries, particularly old libraries, had a special fascination for her as a history teacher. "I don't think we should go in there," Michael, her English boyfriend, cautioned. "That red rope across the doorway obviously means we're not supposed to go in there. Anyway, it's too dark to see much. I've got that little torch on my keyring, so I just want to see what books they've got. They all look super old. Anyway, I'm going in." Michael reluctantly followed. "It doesn't look as though any of the books have been moved for years," said Smaranda. "I can hardly see any of the titles," she added, wiping a finger along one row of volumes. "Hey, there's one here called Wallachia," she called. "Oh, another has the word Vrjetoire on the spine. And here's one titled Strigoi." "I don't know any of those words," answered Michael. "Oh, it's really exciting. Wallachia is the southern region which joined with Transylvania and Moldavia to become Romania. Vrjetoire is witchcraft, and Strigoi are spirits which can transform themselves into horrible animals. I've never seen a Romanian book on witchcraft or Strigoi before, though of course we studied the history of Wallachia at university, so I've seen plenty of books on that." "I'm surprised you haven't heard of Vrjetoire before. You're always complaining about how superstitious we Romanians are. As for Strigoi, I thought you knew Latin pretty well. Striga, evil spirit. Pretty much the same in Romanian. Strigă. Strigoi is plural, though sometimes used as a singular too." Smaranda pulled out the volume titled Vrjetoire and was enveloped in a cloud of dust. When she was able to catch her breath, she opened the book at random page and called out excitedly, "This chapter seems to be full of vrj, spells, mostly to cure all manner of ailments." She continued to leaf through the pages. "Good heavens, there's a spell here to stop Jews killing newborn babies. What's that about? I think you should put that book back right now and we should leave. We're not supposed to be in here anyway." Michael sounded worried. Smaranda ignored him and continued to turn the pages. "Oh, there's a spell here to summon a Strigă. It says it's only to be used on the eve of St. Andrew's Day or the eve of St. George's Day. Isn't that odd? It's St. Andrew's Day tomorrow, I think. 30th of November, isn't it?" "I don't know. St. George's Day is in April, but I can't remember the day." "Shame on you. He's your patron saint. Anyway, I'm going to try this one. The spell, I mean. I think you should just put the book back. Anyway, you shouldn't mess about with such things. Though, of course, I don't believe a word of it. No, it says this spell needs a fire, so that's no good. Smaranda sounded crestfallen, then suddenly shouted excitedly, "You've got a lighter. Maybe that will do. Let me have it, please." Michael reluctantly handed it over. "I don't know whether I can get this right. It's very old Romanian language. It reminds me of trying to read Ioan Caranga's childhood memories, but it seems even older." "I gave up with that, having not understood a thing," Michael said sullenly. He was proud that he mastered reading and speaking modern Romanian, though he still had difficulty writing it. Smaranda clicked the lighter, and with the flame in front of her, began to chant some words, reading from the book. Michael understood not a word. He saw it first, a pale light behind Smaranda, which began to whirl around as though stirred by an invisible spoon, until it began to take on a recognizable form, vaguely human, but as it became more recognizable, hideously distorted. Limbs sticking out in unnatural directions, and a face like a foam latex mask pulled in all directions around a mouth opened in what seemed to be a scream, though inside just black, as though it had no end. A wild, eerie shriek behind her made Smaranda turn round, just in time to see the horrible form solidify into an owl. She had time to recognize a barn owl, often wrongly known as a screech owl because of its call, before the bird flew onto her shoulder. No sooner had it landed than Miranda shrieked loudly herself as she felt a sharp pain in her neck. The owl spread its wings and flew around and around her head, shrieking continuously, till the shriek turned into a scream, familiar to many Romanians as the cry of the fattened pig as its throat is cut to kill it from winter meat. At the same time, the owl began to take the form of a much distorted pig, then alternate between pig and owl, each transformation being more horrendous than the previous one. Finally, it was the owl which settled on Smaranda's shoulder again, sunk its beak into the bloody gash it had made previously, its breast pulsating like a fast-beating heart. Smaranda became ever more pale, before dissolving into a vague, distorted form resembling the Strigoi which Michael had first seen. Michael tried to grab Smaranda's hand to pull her from the room, but there was nothing of substance to hold onto. One of the Strigoi began to fly faster and faster around Michael's head, alternating between the vague, distorted form of the Strigoi and a pig, which soon settled into the form of a boar, which sank its fangs into Michael's chest. The police forensics team, called in the next morning, were baffled. The male, with 2 deep incisions near to the heart, had clearly died from them almost instantly, but there was no weapon. Even more baffling was the body of the young female. She had obviously died from exsanguination, but there was not a sign of blood on the library floor. A lighter lay near her right hand, and a book near her left. The policeman examining the body called out, "This book is open. She seems to have been reading it. It's open at a title titled Vrij. Anyone know what that means?" No one did. This is not part of the story, but I'll add it anyway. I don't usually pick up on the theme often given as a writing prompt at our writers' club, Writing on the Wharf, preferring to write about whatever comes into my head. This time, the given theme of libraries appealed. It gave me an opportunity to explore Romanian legends less well known than Dracula and vampires, which are more modern anyway. You can blame another blogger and a Writers' Club member for the above story. Eilish, whose first novel I sort of reviewed on previous posts, planted witches in my head. Joe, whose story I always enjoy when read in the club, surprisingly even the horror stories, as it's not a genre I usually enjoy, has somehow got me trying to write horror. A couple of notes. In the past, there have been trials of witches in Romania, similar to those in Aberdeen described by Eilish Sinclair in her novel The Mermaid and the Bear. Gypsies and Jews seem to have been particularly targeted in Romania. True, screech owls are confined to the Americas. Barn owls, plentiful in Europe, make a screeching sound rather than the to-it-to-woo usually associated with owls. I really like the ancient Romanian female names, so chose one for this story. The founder and leader of our Writers' Club has another, Ruxandra, so I never shorten it to Ruxy, as most club members do. Another I like a lot is Ilinka.